Hello, my lovely anatomists and physiologists. Michele Glass here, and we are back talking about blood flow. We're thinking here about sort of like systemic blood flow. When we talk about blood flow, we are talking about movement of blood to your body. And we've already introduced this idea of perfusion, which is getting your blood out to your tissues. So that's sort of like the goal here, right, for the whole cardiovascular system. If we have insufficient perfusion, we call that ischemia. So that's the insufficient blood flow. And then that's going to lead to like hypoxia, meaning you have inadequate oxygen being delivered to your tissues. When we talk about blood flow, we will see that the blood is going to move from a high pressure to a low pressure. So you can maybe think about what you know about like diffusion, movement of solute from a high concentration to a low concentration. But here, since we're talking about a flow of a liquid, we'll see that it's moving based on pressure. It's moving based on pressure. And what we'll see is this blood flow then is affected by cardiac output. It's affected by what's called compliance. And this is the ability of our vessels to expand. We'll see it's affected by blood volume. We'll see that it's affected by blood viscosity. Viscosity means thickness. So if we compare like water to honey, honey is very thick, it's very viscous. And we'll see the big contributors here are going to be your formed elements and your plasma proteins. And then we'll see blood vessel diameter, which is changing a lot. Oh, I'm going to say dynamic. Blood vessel diameter, which is very dynamic, changes a lot. And also blood vessel length, which I'm going to say here is pretty static. We don't really see changes to vessel length except during like big growth spurts. So you'll see that during childhood and during adolescence, but you shouldn't see that really making changes in the adult. When we talk about blood flow and we say it's moving from a high pressure to a low pressure, the measure that we talk about in the body really is arterial blood pressure. Remember that the blood is pumped from the heart directly into the arteries. And so we do see that the arteries have the highest blood pressure when we look at the vessels, right? We've talked about that extensively. What we'll see is that you can measure two numbers. So you get what's called the systolic blood pressure over the diastolic blood pressure. And this should make sense. So systole, we said, was the contraction of the heart, and then diastole is the relaxation of the heart. So systolic should be the higher number, because when you're contracting in the heart, that's like the actual push of the blood. That's that ventricular ejection that's getting it to move through. When the heart is relaxed, when the heart is in diastole, you stop pushing that blood. And so we see like the classic healthy adult blood pressure is 120 millimeters of mercury, which is how we measure pressure over 80 millimeters of mercury. When we look at each of these factors that affect blood flow, we can talk about them specifically. And I think we have room to do that here. So when we look at cardiac output, if you increase cardiac output, which I'm abbreviating CO, then that is going to increase your blood pressure, which in turn is going to increase your blood flow. Cardiac output, remember, is that factor of stroke volume times heart rate. So if you're doing things to increase your stroke volume, or if you're doing things to increase your heart rate, you're increasing your cardiac output. And so that is creating a higher blood pressure and a higher blood flow. When we look at compliance here, we're talking about a healthy vessel. So a healthy vessel is compliant. It has this ability to expand so that when you have a high compliance, you get good blood flow. The reverse of this is a stiffened vessel. So if a vessel is like stiff, then it's harder for that blood to flow easily through the vessel. You're basically making the blood pressure too high and making the flow, have trouble, we could say. When we look at our blood viscosity, our thickness here, if you increase your blood viscosity, you're going to decrease your blood flow. Again, think about pouring water versus pouring honey. The honey is slow. So the thicker your blood is, the slower it will flow. When we look at the vessel length, if you increase length, you're going to decrease your flow. It's going to take more pressure to move that blood through. It's going to be harder. So this is why if you have a growth spurt, you might have a corresponding drop in blood pressure. And then pretty soon the body, increases blood cell production. And so it catches up and it's okay. What we see with diameter is increasing the diameter is going to decrease your blood pressure and increase your blood flow. So we'll see that the blood vessel diameter is super dynamic. This is really under the control of the sympathetic nervous system and the endocrine system. This is a really quick, easy way to adjust blood pressure and also to adjust blood flow. So making the vessel larger reduces your blood pressure and then just gives you more space for that flow. We also think about the blood flow there as like the redirection of blood flow. So if you want it to be redirected to your skin and muscle, you want to dilate those vessels. And if you want to instead send that blood flow to the stomach area, then you're going to constrict the vessels to the extremities, but dilate the vessels to your internal organs. When we talk about blood volume, increasing your blood volume is going to increase your blood pressure, and it should also then increase your blood flow. because you have more. Okay. And I think we've talked through all these. Let me just highlight down here this vessel diameter relationship, because this is going to be important when we talk about regulating blood pressure. Blood volume is also an important one when we talk about blood pressure, and then of course cardiac output. So I'm highlighting these because these are things that are like really under the control of the nervous system, really under the control of the endocrine system, meaning like super dynamic, you know, probably hour to hour, in some cases minute by minute, and your body. So these are things that you're like on the regular adjusting for, depending on the activity of your body, the needs of your body, what you're taking into your body, what's leaving your body, and all that sort of thing. Up next, let's look more specifically at blood flow through the vein. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other.